Welcome to the Friendly Frequencies podcast. I am here traveling the world solo and documenting my journey of self discovery, which I'm so happy that you are joining me as a part of this. And I hope that you'll take something from what I'm talking about because this isn't about me as much as the stories are about me and what I experience and the growth and the challenges that I go through. This is really about you and how can I help you empower yourself to live the most authentic version of your life out of your comfort zone and just stepping into the unknown and into the most powerful version of yourself. So that's my intention behind every episode. So I'll be asking you a question by the end of this episode to give you an idea of how you can reflect on what I've just discovered about myself. So stay tuned for that. Wait till the end for that. Today I'm going to talk again about stories. It's been a while since I talked about stories. And I'm going to move my microphone. Let's see. Bear with me for a second. I hope this works. Okay. So I'm going to talk to you about stories today because as I say often, life is just a compilation of stories we're telling ourselves and it shapes our reality every single day throughout our entire life. And some of these stories have been going on since we were babies and since we could even understand what a story was. And I have a new understanding of stories lately, and I am discovering the stories that have been present throughout my life, and a lot of them throughout my entire life, and they've shaped the way that I live and the limitations I've put on myself. So I'm going to tell you about a story today, but I'm going to overall just also acknowledge the time I just spent in Pai in Thailand. This is the north of Thailand. Amazing community up there that welcomed me in for 3 weeks. I was there, and it changed my life in a few ways. First off, I mean, this isn't to do with the stories, but this is just one way that Pi changed my life in a way. I stayed with this amazing woman named Cobb, and we spent a few weeks I spent there, and I helped her with her social media presence. And this place is the most incredible place that I've ever stayed, and not a lot of people knew about it. So I asked her if she wanted some help with social media, and she said yes. And so we did a little exchange. I got cheaper accommodation there, and I was able to promote her place on social media, which is a kind of place that I was so creatively inspired there because this place was so amazing. And so I would have wanted to make content for her anyways. And this really opened up a new level of my career because now I'm coaching people and helping people with social media, a lot more people since this happened, because I started realizing that, oh, okay, I can get more free accommodation this way, and it's only like a little bit of time it requires of me to make a pretty big impact on somebody. I only need to spend about a couple hours in a day to do that with the social media stuff. So I thought, okay, this is gonna really help me stretch my money out here. So I started looking for jobs in Kopangan, which I'm now here again for the next few months. And I posted just in the community group chat or Facebook group, just saying, hey, I can do social media for you if you want to let me live with you, or we can do some sort of trade. And I now have clients coming in left, right, and center, like asking me for work, and I have too much work now. And so this really didn't really cross my mind. Like, I was helping people with social media such as DNA. I was helping the company I'm working for there with their social media for a bit, but I think there's something special about going somewhere and living in a space that's very powerful and very there's two ways that I like to do this. One, a place that doesn't have very much recognition, like no one knows about it, but this place is a heaven. I want to help those people because they deserve to have this place shown to the world. And another way is anybody that has a really strong vision, a powerful vision for their business and for their life. And I want to help those kind of people who are making an impact on the world. And so for example, now I'm living at a retreat, or I should say a recovery center for people with addictions. and it's called Helena. And this is where I'm recording the podcast right now. And it's this beautiful resort on the beach, but it's also a 12-step program. So people recovering from addictions and mental health issues. So I'm here, I'm supporting them, I'm helping with their social media presence, and I'm living here and getting my meals covered and things. So it's just all thanks to Pi and other experiences that I've had, but really in Pi, it just kind of shifted my career and gave me a whole new idea of what I could be doing with my career. And it's just really showing all of the influx of people wanting what I'm doing is showing me that this is in alignment and I'm doing what I should be doing. So that's one way that Pi changed my life. But the other ways, we're gonna get a little bit more spiritual now. So that's the career way. But something happened in Pi. A few things happened in Pi that I think broke me wide open. So it didn't break me like in a negative way or in like a harsh way, but more like broke me open, like a shell or another layer of my onion has been like peeled away. And it's thanks to a few friends that I made there, and it's thanks to just my own, I don't know, intuition and power and the space I give myself to listen to myself. um, it also started there, and just the energy of being there in Pi, because Pi is a very powerful, beautiful energy, just like Kopangan. Strong spiritual community there. And so the story begins where I was driving my motorbike. This was just a few weeks ago. I was driving my motorbike at sunset and singing and just feeling really just singing and just loving the sound of my voice. And I've always been somebody who says that I can't sing, and I've just never been a singer, and I've never sang in front of people. I sang in front of one of my boyfriends way back in the day once, one song, and I was embarrassed about it. But I've never sang in front of people legitimately, and it's never been something I want to do, but I've also never done it. And I just didn't think that I didn't think I had a horrible voice, but I didn't think it was good. And I was driving my motorbike, and I just out of nowhere had this thought like, well, people keep telling me that I have a nice speaking voice. People like to listen to my voice when I'm speaking. So why would nobody want to hear my voice when I'm singing? Just makes sense, right? That I should have a nice singing voice if I have a nice speaking voice, or at least I can easily make my voice sound better if I practice it more. And it just kind of dawned on me. And I started singing there in driving with the sunset and just singing, but in a different way. Not just singing along to a song I have playing in my headphones, but just like really vocalizing with the music I was listening to and like singing but no words, just using my voice and feeling the vibration of my voice. And it was so beautiful, and I thought, wow, this actually sounds really good. And it was like as soon as I switched that story in my head that maybe I can be a good singer, or maybe I am a good singer, but I've just always thought that I wasn't. And in that moment when I realized it, I started to enjoy the sound of my voice. And so I thought this was really interesting. Okay, and I thought maybe I'll do like an open mic night, because they have open mic nights in Pi and here in Copenhagen. Maybe I'll sing something one day, like up there, you know. And then a few days goes by. I didn't perform at the open mic. Okay, that would have been a stretch, but I think I'm gonna do it next time. But what happened was my friends and I was on my last night, and I had all okay. There's been other powerful experiences in between there, but I'll keep on track with the voice part of it. So yeah, I was on my last night there, and my friends and I did a ceremony, a plant medicine ceremony, and it was so beautiful. And I was kind of holding space for everybody, because I wasn't as much in the I wasn't as affected by the medicine as they were. And so I was kind of able to experience everybody and what they were going through and the traumas that were coming up for them and things. And I just held a good space for them, and I also was able to sing for them. In that moment, I was singing again with no words, just like vocalizing with the music, and I could feel that they loved it. I could feel their energy around it, and I was in the moment. I was like, holy shit, like I've never sang in front of people before, and I'm doing this in front of like 5 people. And I was so proud of myself, and I felt so good. And I've now okay. So yeah, and I told my friends then that, guys, I never sang in front of anyone before. Thank you for giving me this space to do this, and thank you for making me feel comfortable enough to do this, because this is huge. I've never done this before, and I felt like that moment specifically as well really unlocked something for me. So singing in front of these people really was like a catalyst for me, like that I can sing. I can sing and I can sing in front of people, and I can. So the story's gone. That's not my story anymore. And so that was very powerful. Okay. Now, fast forward to now. I was invited the other day to a cipher. So like what do you call it? A rap, a freestyle rap circle. And actually, it was only three of us there that showed up, but it was honestly one of the most amazing things I've ever done. We were sitting on the lake, and just I was super nervous because I had just met these guys. Well, one of them I've known for like less than a week, but he invited me, and then the other one I just met that moment, and I was still like so uncomfortable with doing this. But of course, I love to get out of my comfort zone, so I was excited to see what this level of my comfort zone is, like the next level that I can surpass. And so I was freestyling with them, and I thought I was going to be terrible, and actually I rocked it. I absolutely rocked it, and I just felt so good. And it was so powerful because I didn't realize how powerful it is to freestyle, because it's basically unfiltered words coming from my mind, but they're not filtered, they're not thought about. I can't actually think of what to say because it's too fast. I need to speak in the moment. Any words that come out are coming from me, but they're coming from the me that is not the conscious me, I believe. And we were talking about it, and I feel like I got to really hear the inner workings of their minds, and they got to hear, and I got to hear the inner workings of my own mind. And it was so interesting, some of the things that I said, that I thought in the moment, I was like, do I even mean that? Like, why did I say that? That's not even really true, is it? Like, for example, I said something about, or I rapped something about wearing a mask, and it just came up, and that, it just was spoken like that, as if I'm wearing a mask, as if I'm not being authentic, or I'm hiding something from the world, or I'm hiding something from myself. That was kind of the way that I was rapping about it. And but in the moment, I was like, that's not how I feel. Like, I'm not wearing a mask, or am I? Why did I say that then? So I thought that was super interesting. How I think that when I continue to do these ciphers and these freestyles, I'm gonna keep doing it with these guys and with other people, because it was so much fun. I think that I'm going to really understand more of the inner workings of my mind than I did before. And every time, I think I'm going to peel another layer of not only my comfort zone, but also the the workings of my mind, and what the words and the knowledge that I really have, because I think that there's so much in there that I haven't tapped into, because I don't know that it's even there. It's not been surfaced yet, right? The onion goes so much deeper. So that's really exciting. And I'm going to tell you one more thing that I felt really broken wide open around, that happened in Pi. And that was around the experience of crying. So I met this amazing person from the Philippines. Bless my Filipinos. So of course, when I met him, he and I became like instantly best friends. And yeah, so he does inner dance, which is kind of hard to explain, but inner dance is a kind of a ceremony of similar to meditation, but it takes you through, it kind of bridges science and spirituality by taking you on a journey through music, sound, vibration, and the energy of my friend, or whoever it is that's facilitating the inner dance, has the ability to transfer their energy between you. And I did too with my friend Edgar here, and or in Pi. And the second time, I was the only one that showed up. Oh, to add on to what inner dance is, it also mimics the sleep wake cycle and the life death cycle, I believe, of us, of humans, of so it's something that's really natural for our body. The sounds that we hear, they match these types of cycles that our bodies are used to. So the second time I went, I was the only one that showed up, and so I got a private session, which was super lucky. And so I got basically, so the amount of energy that he would be spreading into a whole room of people, because the time before there was like 20 of us or 10 of us, uh, but this time it was all focused on me. And I was laying there, and after quite a while, maybe 40 minutes of it, at some point I just started bursting out crying. and and I was like, yeah, on the inside I was like, yes, go, go, cry, because I felt so blocked around crying. Like, I don't cry very often, and I've always felt like, no, especially as I've been traveling, actually, because as much as I get more and more tapped into my emotions, I feel like I get even more disconnected from feeling, um, yeah, like I feel like I don't feel the emotion of separation when I leave somebody. Like, what, it doesn't really make me sad. I think because I'm always excited for what's gonna happen next. Where I'm about to go is always so exciting, and I just feel gratitude for the moments that I have now and that I've experienced. But I don't really feel like, oh, I don't want to leave you, because I know that there's a reason I'm leaving. Like, there's more to be done here. And so for me, it's, I don't feel this sadness, and I don't cry, but then I have people crying to me, like crying to be leaving me, and I feel guilty for that. And even in situations where I really should be crying and sad, I don't. And I want to, because it's very therapeutic. I want to cry more. And so something always felt like I always felt that there was something blocked in me. As a kid, I used to hold back my tears. I'd be very embarrassed of crying, and so I would never want to cry in front of anyone, and I would hold it back, and my throat would be hurting, and I just felt a lot of shame around it. And so that's probably where that kind of story came from. I mean, this is a story as well, right? The story that I say, I can't cry, I'm blocked, like, that's a story. But the thing is, it was a story. Just like the voice, it was a story, and I believe that I've just broken through that story. And so what happened, yeah, so I was able to cry with Edgar in that session, and just really cry. And it was a lot of crying, and I was so happy to be crying, uh, and just to be held in that space with this amazing person. And I felt like anything that had ever happened to me, any traumas that had ever happened to me from men, that I never feel like I've ever held on to it. Like, mentally, I've never held on to these things, but I think my body has. My body's held on to these traumas, even though I feel totally detached, like they don't affect me. So I never thought I had traumas. But I think that, yeah, the body really holds a lot of these things, and it's like I can't really control what my body picks up, but I can control how I get rid of it, how I move past it and release that. And so I think this was a real release for me, is to be able to really acknowledge that, yes, I've had things happen to me from men before, and that trauma has stuck in my body, and I am now being held by a man who's just witnessing me in my most vulnerable state, my most raw and vulnerable state. And he had seen me in many of these vulnerable states over the small time we had been together as well. And just to feel like he has me, and I'm safe, and everything that's ever happened to me up until that point doesn't matter, and it's gone. And it's not there anymore. There's no more. Now it's this feeling of complete surrender and release. So, yeah. that's what happened. And here I was then driving home from Pi. Okay, and another beautiful moment before I move on is a few days later, we were in the ceremony together with our friends. And then I was holding him as he was crying in a similar way. So it was like he and I were able to really hold each other in this space of complete vulnerability when we had only known each other for like a week. And just to be able to go there with somebody and allow them to go there with me was very powerful. And I'm always so grateful now for I'm so grateful for that experience and for him. And so yeah, I was on my way home from Pi and I'm driving my motorbike again and I'm singing and I'm really singing and I'm really crying at the same time. Two things that I just felt like I couldn't do before, and I was just doing it. And it's just such a release for me. I feel like I just can't describe it any other way than I've been broken wide open. I feel like my heart has been broken open. Like I feel like I've had a pretty open heart, and that's not been an issue for me. But I feel like my throat has been opened, my tears have been opened, wherever that comes from, and I think it really does all end up coming from the heart. So whatever happened to me there was really powerful, and I'm now coming here and I'm using this power to create more opportunities and to really like stretch this out to other people that I'm interacting with. And I just think it's so cool how I was invited to do a freestyle rap cipher right after I feel like I just unlocked my voice. Like I was telling him, actually maybe that's because I was telling him about it, I can't remember, but just perfect timing. And I'm just really excited to see what this does for my speaking. How is this unlocking of my voice in a singing way and a rapping way going to impact the way that I speak for you on this podcast and share my message? I'm just curious as to how that's going to shift. So I want to thank you for listening to this and listening to my story. And again, I want to make it about you. So I have two questions because I think there's two ways. Well, there's more than two ways, but there's two main ways I think that you could resonate with this story, and it'll be different for everybody. One could be, have you shared your voice? Have you been holding your voice back in some way through speaking, not speaking your truth, or not wanting to sing because you feel like you're not a good singer, or you've been not able to share with somebody something you've been wanting to talk about? There's so many ways to be blocked here. And also not being able to cry, I think, is also, I feel it in my throat if I feel like I can't cry. So are any of those a reality for you? And if they are, what can you do to take that step out of your comfort zone and break yourself wide open and experience that? And also, I think before that, I think the first step is to acknowledge that that's a story. That's a story, and it's been holding you back your whole life from really authentically expressing yourself the way that you could. Okay, part two. If that doesn't resonate with you, part two would be, what is the story that's holding you back? Any story. It doesn't have to be about your voice or your anything. But what's the story? What is the story for you? I'll give you a few examples if you can't think of anything, but I can guarantee you there are stories running your life, as there are stories running everybody's lives. For example, what's a story that could be holding someone back? Well, I've talked about this on the podcast, saying, I'm so bad with names. Who said that? That's a story that almost, like, probably 99% of the population has, and saying, I'm bad with names. And that's a story that shows up in your life, and you end up not remembering anybody's name. So there's an example of a story. Just basically, what do you keep telling yourself about how you are in the world, about the way that you are, what you can or can't do? And just look at it. Is that a story, or is that really the truth? Just ask yourself this, do a little journaling, see what you come up with, and I just encourage you to get out of your comfort zone and to experience, and just try to find some experiences that are going to push you and break you wide open, and test those stories that you've been telling yourself. So thank you for listening, and I love you, and I will see you in a few days because I'm very late with posting this episode. Thank you for your patience.